So in this space we've got a number of conservators working and preparing over 1,000 specimens which we're going to be putting into our Hinsey Hall exhibit in the next few months. And just to give you an example, everything on this table will be going on display on our first floor. And one thing I just want to show you here is a fetal elephant skull. And the wonderful thing I love about this specimen is that it was collected by David Livingstone, that intrepid African explorer, so a really famous collector. And once it was back here, they even cut it in half and put a little hinge on it so that you could open it up and look inside the skull. We've got a great frigate bird and a hume bird here, and they've come over from Tring very carefully wrapped, and we actually put them through a freezer so that we stop any pest attack, and then they will be very gently cleaned and they will go on display. So I want to now also show you some of our more challenging specimens, and in this instance we've actually got a giraffe skeleton that we're going to be putting on display. And when you start to take apart a giraffe skeleton, you'll find there are many pieces to it. So there's a whole set of racking here where we have started to take the giraffe skeleton apart. And what we're doing is, it was on a very old mount, it was very rusty, bits were falling off. So we are what we call de-articulating it. We're taking it apart, we're cleaning each piece, and then we're going to make a brand new armature for it. So this is our pop-up conservation studio, and we're working on the blue whale skeleton in here. And when we took the skeleton down and started to take it apart, again like a giraffe, it takes up a lot of space. And so we're actually working on the skeleton in 3 different locations. So we've got a whole range of whale material, whale skeleton material in here, and also we have a model of the whale skeleton and how it's going to look in Hinsey Hall. So we're having new armature built for the whale, and we're going to have it in a much more dynamic diving pose. And we've come up with this pose which is basically showing the whale either just going into or coming out of a feed, where it opens its huge jaws and eats about 40 million krill, I think, in one go. And so this is what the public are going to be able to see next year when the gallery opens, and they'll be able to see this whale skeleton suspended above them as they walk into Hinsey Hall. These are blue whale mandibles. They're actually the biggest single bones of any animal that's ever lived. And each one of these weighs about 500 kilos. So when you start to take off ribs, they take up a huge amount of space. And so we've actually had this rib rack built just for us, customised. So we've been able to put the individual ribs into this rib rack for ease of storage and selection. And intriguingly, one of the other things we discovered when we started to take this apart was the presence of newspaper. We have someone who works as a volunteer, and she is taking each piece of that newspaper, relaxing it so it flattens out, and we're preserving it as part of the whale archive and the whale history.